So not too long ago, I created an introduction to Microsoft Excel teaching you some of the basics on how to use the program. And a lot of you really found it interesting and asked for more. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how to create a very basic income, expense, and budget tracker. If you're a gig worker or you have multiple streams of income, you are absolutely going to love this thing because it allows you to track all of your income from all different sources. It allows you to keep up with your expenses, and it simultaneously helps you with your budget. It's super easy, and I'm going to walk you through it. Now this tutorial is going to be pretty long because there are a lot of moving parts in this spreadsheet. You can certainly choose which parts you need and which ones you don't. But just be patient. I promise it's all going to work out in the end. So grab your coffee cup and let's get started. So here's basically what we're going to create today. It's got multiple columns here to keep track of the different sources of income, including weekly totals for each individual category, a weekly total for all of the individual categories, a column here to total your daily income. Here at the top we've got amounts for year-to-date totals, and I got a little surprise for you at the end that's really going to make your life a lot easier if you have to keep up with a specific budget. So to create the spreadsheet, you can do it in any particular program that you want to use. You can use Microsoft Excel, you can use OpenOffice or LibreOffice. The concepts are going to be the same. Most people are familiar with Microsoft Excel, so I'm going to use OpenOffice, which is what I prefer, but it will work the same regardless. Okay, so we have got our spreadsheet open in whatever program you're going to use. So what we have to do is we have to create a layout for how this weekly, monthly, yearly calendar is going to start. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you go down to cell A4, which is right here. Okay, column A, cell 4. I'm just going to type MON for Monday. Now the next column over is going to represent the first Monday of the 2023 calendar year, which was the 2nd. So I'm going to type 01/02/23. I want to center each of these columns so that everything I enter all the way down is nice and centered. So all I'm going to do is click up here and hold down the shift key and select this column and then let go. Up here on the formatting, I want to click Align Center. There's these little alignment tools right here. This one's Align Center, so you just click that and you can see now these are aligned perfectly in the middle of the column. And you can adjust the column by clicking on the separator right here, just dragging it over as big as you want it. The day column doesn't need to be as big because it's only going to be 3 letters. And I'm going to shrink this one a little bit too. So far that's all we've got. Now, a cool feature about Excel or any spreadsheet program is that you have the ability to auto-populate. So select this column right here, just click once on it, and you'll see there's a box around it now. Put your mouse over that bottom right corner and click your mouse and hold it down, and then just simply drag down. And you can see here, if you drag down to the 8th and then let go, now you'll see it populated Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And you can do the same thing over here. Click here and drag down and let go. And you can see there's January 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. We're only going to focus on the first business week of the year. Now, if you do work on Saturdays and Sundays, then you want to have a full 7 days. So you can click here and then hold down Shift to select both of these, and then just drag this whole box down 2 more spots. And there's your Saturday and Sunday, the 7th and 8th. Now obviously you'll want to do this for the entire year, and we'll get to next week and how these columns are all going to be formatted. But for now we're just learning the basics and where we're going to put all of our individual cells so it all makes sense here. So now what we need, we've got the dates, but now what we need is the different categories of income. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our first income category right here. So click once in cell C1. Let's just say we do photography on the side, and sometimes we make money from that. So I'm going to just type photos. So in the next column, D1, let's just say we do catering on the side. So we'll just type catering. And then say we also mow lawns on the weekends. So we'll do lawn care and then tab over. And let's just say you also work on computers. So you could put computers here. And let's just say you also do DoorDash or Uber Eats or some kind of ride share. Doesn't matter what it is. There. So now we have all of our different categories of income. Now, because I'm very particular and a little OCD, I like everything to be centered. So I'm going to again click on the top of the C column, hold down the Shift key, and just go all the way over here to G. And then I'm going to go back up to the top and align right there. And you can see it's starting to come together a little bit. Okay, so now we've got our days and we've got our income categories. I always like to make my spreadsheets a little colorful, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click in this box right here, and I'm just going to drag my mouse all the way over here. Now I've got the headers for these income categories selected. What I want to do is I just want to go over here for the background color, and I'm just going to choose, let's just say, doesn't matter which, a blue. But now you can hardly see it because the font is black. So you can go back here. So now you can go over here to the font color and click that box and change it to white. And as you can see, it's very easy to see against that background. Now, the other thing that I'm going to do here, if you want to create a spreadsheet very similar to what I'm doing, is click this box right here in C2, drag your mouse all the way over, and then what we're going to do is we're going to fill these with yellow. And you can use whatever color you want. I just prefer these because they are a little easier to see. For the font, I'm going to choose black. So whatever I type in here is going to be black. So this is what you should have so far. And you can also make changes to your headers. Like I prefer them to be bold. So you just click and drag and select all the ones you want. And then you click the bold icon up here. And you can see it's starting to look like a spreadsheet now. And you could do the same thing here. If you wanted this column to be a certain color, you could select these and make it whatever color you want. But I prefer just to leave them like this. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to skip this cell. And I'm going to go right here. And I'm going to do YTD. And hit enter. And again, I'm going to center this column just by selecting the top of the header. And then click center. And I want to apply the same formatting that I did to these. I can go through the individual formatting, or what I could do is just simply take these two and select them both, right click and copy, and then just go over here, select these two, right click and paste, and then just change the words. That way make sure you get the exact colors every time. The reason we skipped this one here is because this column is going to show us our weekly totals for each of the individual income producing items. So we're going to go click once in this box and drag it down to here. And then we're going to go back up to the colors, put that yellow back in here. And now that's what it should look like. So at this point, this is the very basic foundation of your spreadsheet. Now, before you go any further, what you want to do is you want to save your spreadsheet. You want to save it when you're creating it. You want to save it as often as you can. Okay? So we're going to call this income and expenses. Again, you can call it whatever you want. So now the next step, what we're going to do is we're going to I'm just going to put in some sample information to show you how these formulas work, and they're super simple. So let's just throw in some random numbers here. So let's just say Tuesday you made $100 with photography, and maybe you did $60 with your DoorDash, and say Wednesday you had a $250 cater job. Maybe Saturday you did somebody's lawn for $40 and fixed a friend's computer for $100, and we'll maybe just put some other numbers in here. It doesn't really matter. You'll see here once you start putting in the numbers how this works. And you, if you want to, you can always add other categories. So for example, you just want to maybe just miscellaneous, maybe whatever that category is. You can insert a column anywhere in here by just clicking one column and then going to insert column, and boom, now you have another category, and everything will calculate the same. So maybe you only have 3 sources of income, then you don't need all of these 3. You can delete them and nothing really changes. Just to say you got $100 for your birthday on the 2nd. Okay. And now you have all these different sources of income on all these individual days, but it'd be nice to see your totals. So what you can do, and oops, I think I didn't mean to make that yellow, so I'm going to just delete that row. So now here's what we have. These are all sources of income. Well, I'd like to total them for the week. How much did I make in photos? How much did I do in catering and lawn care and so on? But I'd also like to see the weekly totals as well. So what I'm going to do is, what we have to do is create what's called a sum feature. And basically what you're doing is you're saying, take all of these and sum them or add them and show me that number right here. So this cell is C4, as you can see here. This cell is C10. So what we can do is just click once here, and you would type equals sum, and then the parentheses, C4, which is the first cell we want to count, then colon C10, which is the last one, then another parentheses, and hit enter. And as you can see now, there's your sum. So if we put another $300 in here, now our total for the week is $700. Now what you can do, once you've created that one, instead of typing that out all the way across, you can just literally click this and drag it all the way over, and it will total each individual column for that week. Now if you want to make this a separate color, you could just select all of these by clicking and dragging and maybe give it a different color. You don't have to, but it just helps to separate the daily numbers from the weekly numbers. So now what we want to do is we want to also track the daily totals for all of the categories. And this will make more sense later. Later on, I'm going to show you how to work your budget into this. So if you have a very specific dollar amount that you need to make per day, this will make a lot more sense. So just like we added the cells from C4 to C10 for photos, now what we want to do is we want to take all the income that we made from all categories on Monday. So we're going to go from C4, which is this, to H4, which is this. So we're going to go to here because this is where we want our total. And again, we're going to type equals sum, then parentheses, and then C4, which is our first cell, colon H4, and then another parentheses. In other words, show me everything I made from here to here for Monday, January 2nd. And as you can see here, it shows $100. Now again, if you want it centered, click the column header here and then click Align Center. So say you did $100 miscellaneous on Monday, maybe you did $40 worth of lawn care. As you can see now, it totals, you made $140 for the day. Now, once you've got this one cell created, you can do just like we did before when you highlighting all the multiple cells, click here and drag it all the way down and then let go. And now it will show you how much you made each day of the week. But you still don't have a total. So now what you can do to get that total, which I like to put in this column right here, we want to take all of our daily totals right here and show how much we made for the week. So we'll click right here. And again, we want to total C11, which is the weekly total for photos, all the way to H11, so it includes all the daily categories. We're going to go right here. We're going to type equals sum, parentheses, C11, which is the total for photos for the week, colon, H11, and then another parentheses, and then enter. We have made $825 for that week. Now I like to go and make this a different color and different font. You can do whatever you want. Make it bold, make it white, whatever you want to do. It's your spreadsheet. You can play with it. If you want to change the font of the entire spreadsheet, you would click this box right here, which highlights the whole thing. Then go up to your font selector here and choose your different font, which I like Tahoma. And then I like to click on the size and make it a little bit bigger. Now, everything's a lot easier to read for sure. But if you notice here, you see what happened to this column? When you see this, it just means that there is too much to fit into that cell, and Excel shows you a bunch of pound signs. So all you have to do is click this column divider here and just make the column a little bit wider, and boom, there you go. This is how you would easily be able to calculate what you make per week. So like I said, maybe Sunday was a really good day and you had $75 in photo and you had a $100 catering job and you went and made $100 doing ride share. You see, once you put those numbers in, this number changes, these numbers change, and then your total for the week changes. So at this point, we have $1,100 for the week. Now you may want to format these in a more numerical or currency-based format. Very easy to do. Any columns that have dollar values in them, just click and select those and then let go. Go up here to Format, choose Cells. You'll get this window that pops up, and then you would choose Currency, and the default is 2 decimal places to show .00. You have different choices here that you can play with. Now you can see it shows actual dollars. And again, same thing here. This cell is not wide enough, so just open it up a little bit. And now you have a very easy to read, detailed spreadsheet on what you made for the week. In this cell, and this is just because it's my OCD, I like these numbers to be aligned to the right. So I would select this whole column and then click right here to align on the right. It's a little easier for me to read that way. And now what you can do is just rinse and repeat. What I would recommend is creating a default spreadsheet that is the same year after year. You start with the empty one and save it for that year. And so the next year, all you have to do is change these 2 columns and you're ready to go for the whole next year. That's what I do. So we're going to basically create this again for week number 2. Then from there, you should be able to just go ahead and create the whole year. So we've got Sunday here. So we're going to type Monday here. And then the next day is the 9th. So we're going to go 01/09/23. Like this. And then we're going to go down, click and drag just like before. And now we have week number 2. Now, here is the easy way to duplicate this whole part so you don't have to type all these calculations in all over. Select the area that you want to duplicate, which is, this is the first cell right here, and here's the last cell. And you can see it highlighted this whole block. Once you've done that, let go of your mouse, right click and copy. And then now you notice here, you see it's 1 row below the date. That's important. So you click here, and then you want to select the same exact size as the one up here. See, there's one below here. So now what you copied here, now because it's the same exact size, you can right click and paste, and it's exactly the same. Now the only difference is what you made in week 2 is not going to be the same as what you made in week 1. So easy way around this is just click and select the income producing cells, or the cells where you've put data, select those, and you can just either hit delete, or what I do is I just hit backspace. For week 2, cells ready to go for your next jobs. Whatever jobs you have in here, boom, like that. And now we're starting to get our default template. And again, you just rinse and repeat. Go down here, do Monday through Sunday, Monday through Sunday, put in the correct date. This would be the 16th, and so on and so forth. But for now, we're just going to do these 2 because that gives you a general idea of how to do this. The other thing that we want to do is we want to show our year to date. So at a glance, we can look and see, okay, for the year 2023, how much have we made in our photography business, or how much have we made in lawn care? So what we want to do is we want to calculate, we want to total all of the money for the whole year right here so we can easily see it. The easiest way that I found to do is to total this whole column, but that's a problem because this number right here is the sum of each week's total. But this number is always going to be exactly this. So what we can do is total everything in column C and then just divide it by 2, since this number effectively would double our income. It'll make more sense here in a second. We want to start with our first entry in the column C for the year, which is in this case C4 right here. And then I usually just go, you don't need to go more than 365 days because that's how many days there are in the year, but I usually just say 400 is just easier. So what we're going to do here is we want to sum everything, and I'll show you the wrong way to do it and then an easy fix. So we're going to say equals sum parentheses C4, which is our first income producing day, and we only want to focus on this column C. So we'll just do 400, which is 365 days plus those extra spaces between the weeks. 400 will cover it. So C400 and then parentheses, enter. Okay. Now, as you can see here, it shows you've made $350 so far. And we're only focusing on week 1 because that's the only week we have income. But we didn't make 350, we made 175. So we got to make a slight change here. If you select this cell, you'll see up here, here's the formula we created, equal sum C4 to colon C400. Just right after that, just click your mouse, put a /, which is also known as its division in formula, put a slash and then the number 2. So we're saying equals sum C4 through C400, which covers everything you did for photos for the year, and then divide by 2 because of these weekly totals. Hit enter, and now you can see it's accurate. So, for example, if I did $1,000 here, it's still correct. $1,000 this week, 175. Your yearly total is 1175 because it divided it in half because of these cells. Hope that makes sense to you. Now, you've got your total for the year already calculated, just like before when we did with the dates and all of these. Excel lets you drag that same formula across multiple columns. So click in this column here and then drag it over and drop it. And as you can see here, now it shows you how much you've made for each income category for the year. Now that shows you how much you made for each of these categories. So how much total income have I had from all of my categories? Very easy to figure out. All we have to do is add this to this, this, and this to get this total. So this is C2, this is H2. So we just want to basically say add all of these up and put the number here. So we'll click in this cell right here because this is where we want the total. And once again, we do equals sum parentheses C2, which is our first income column, colon H2, and then parentheses. Now, it takes all of these and adds them here. Now, since we only have 1 week, that number will match this one. But if we add, say, $900 here, everything calculates correctly with this cell, with this week's total, and now the year-to-date total is this plus this, or this through this. It works both ways. So as long as you keep the same formatting all the way down, it will track all of that information for you. Now, one of the other things that I like to do, and this is totally optional, is I like to track my daily average. I'd like to know what on average I'm making per day in a given week. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this cell right here and I'm going to type daily. I'm going to again, I'm going to center this because I'm a little OCD, and I'm going to make it the same color as the other. And I can't remember which color it is, so I'm just going to drag this over and duplicate it and just rewrite daily. This is an example of how it would work for me. Like, I need to know at a given point how much average daily income I'm making. I need to hit a certain number every week. So it's kind of it kind of gives me an idea. Am I on track to hit my number for the week? And we'll get to that. We'll get to that one in a second, because that's probably my favorite part. The thing about the spreadsheet that makes it so easy for me, because I can tell at a glance how much more I got to make before I can stop working for the week. So what I'm going to do is I want to take this number, whatever this number is, and I want to calculate by how many days are in the week. Now, in this case, you're going to be working 7 days a week. So you need to know, I need to make say I need to make $100 a day on average every day, 365 days a year. When you get to $100 daily average, you know you're doing okay. So this cell right here is just going to say, take this, whatever this is, and tell me how I'm doing for that week. So you take this cell right here, which is I4. You're just going to say equals I4 divided by 7. You see here, it's $20. So, in other words, if you had made $140 for the whole week, you would have averaged $20 a day. And this gets a little more complicated, but just follow with me, okay? In this cell, we want to take these 2 days, total them up, and then average them out. But what we have to do is we have to tell it, add this day to this day, and then divide by 7, and you will see this number right here go up or down if you made more or less. So what we have to do is we have to basically say, add this number to this number, divide by 7. So the way we do that, so we say equals sum I4 to I5, parentheses, divided by 7. As you can see here, if you made $220 on Tuesday, now your daily average goes up. Now what happens if you click here and drag this all the way down? Well, what happens is it does not calculate this day through this day and so on. It only calculates the day before. You can see here it's I6 to I7, I7 to I8, and so on. We needed to include all these numbers. So this part right here gets a little tricky, but I promise you, just stay with me. It will make sense here in a minute. What we're going to do is we have to make it a constant. So the way you do that is in your formula. You go back up here, select this formula, and you can see here's the I4 to I5. We're going to click between the I and the 4, and we're going to put a dollar sign here. Now when you look at the formula, it says I4 to I5 divided by 7, which is these two divided by 7. But now when you click and drag all the way down, if you look at the formula, I4 to I6, I4 to I7, I4 to I8, and so on, that dollar sign says make the starting point I4 and don't change it. So it will calculate these 3 days, divide by 7. Then it'll calculate these 4 days, divide by 7. Then it'll calculate these 5 days by 7. You see here, you didn't make anything on Friday, and the number didn't change. And then you made 140, and then we calculated all of these, and it made your number, and so on. That's the way that I do it. There may be an easier way. I am not the go-to expert on Excel. I've learned all of this just by experimenting, but this is how I do it, and it works for me. We've got all of our formulas up to this point copied, and again, remember, you can go down here and copy your cells. Okay, remember there's one space between, and so you can do that as many times as you want. And again, with the dates or with the days, click and drag down. We go back here, and so we're just basically filling in. Before we get too far along, we're just filling in the blanks here so it makes more sense to you. January 16th, 23. Click and drag down. And then down here, the next date is January 23rd. And this part is a little bit of a pain because this is the part you'll have to change every year, and I'm sure there's an easier way. If you didn't have these empty cells here and it was just dates from beginning to end, you could just click and drag all the way through the year. But I like to have them a little separated so that you can at a glance see 1 week at a time. Now, once you have these set, you can select this part of the column, right click and copy, and go down here and right click and paste. But see, what happens is when you do it this way, it's still looking for I4 through here. It's not looking for I13, which is the first day of the following week. So for this next column, we want to just repeat the process. This is I13. We just want to do equals I13 divided by 7. Now the next step, if you remember, each of these we had to have that $ in there for referencing I4. The next one here is going to be I13 plus I14. Okay, remember how we did that? Each cell references I4 plus the next one and so on. We have to do that same thing again. So don't forget we have to have that constant. So we're going to do equals sum, parentheses, $13 colon I14 parentheses divided by 7. Enter. Now we have that formula correct. We can drag down for the rest of the week. If you look up here, I13 is constant and it just adds that next day. Whatever numbers you put in here, it's going to automatically adjust those accordingly. This is probably the most difficult part, but once you've done it a couple times, you just repeat the process. The good news is you only have to do it 52 times, once for each week, and that does not change year after year after year. So the first part is just remembering, you're just saying take the first number of the week divided by 7. The second one is the hardest part. You have to put that $ in there after the I, or whatever column, if you have a J or L or F, whatever the column is, you're going to do I, $, and then the number. The $ says make that number constant. So in this case, I13 is the first day of the week, I, $13 until I14, and I, $13 till 15, all the way down. Just do that for each of these, and then you'll be able to easily track your daily averages. In this example, if, say, I needed to make $90 every day of the week, 7 days a week, I knew as of Thursday, I had averaged a daily 7-day average of at least $90. In that case, if that's all the money I needed to make, I didn't have to do any of this money here. So that's a good way to just kind of see, are you making the amount of money that you would need for the rest of the week? So, for example, 7 days a week, say I made $1,400 in catering on this Monday, I've doubled my averages. Or if you only needed $90 a day and say you made $630 on Monday, you've literally hit your $90 minimum for the rest of the week. You're done. So if you work as a gig worker and you have a certain amount of money you think you need to make each day, this is really helpful. But the bigger question is, how do you know how much money you need to make every day? A lot of people spitball their expenses and they don't keep up with them exactly. So I'm going to show you not only how to keep up with your bills, but also how to integrate that into your daily spreadsheet so you can literally see at a glance exactly what you need to know for the entire week, the entire month. Well, that's the fun part, tracking the income. But unfortunately, expenses also come into play. So what you want to do is you want to be able to have a way to track your income, but also track your expenses without having to constantly go back and forth. And the way you do that is you have a separate worksheet that has all of your bills, and then you have this first worksheet reference that to show you where you're at as far as how much money you need to make or things like that. You have multiple worksheets at the bottom of every spreadsheet. I like to name mine specifically, and it will make a little more sense here in a second when I show you how to do this. I just like to right click on the name of the individual worksheet and just rename it. So from sheet 1, I'm going to change it to daily. And that just tells me that this worksheet is my daily income tracker. Now, the second sheet here, I've pre-formatted with some typical bills. Don't worry, I'll show you how to create this for yourself. Now, sheet 3, all spreadsheets have 3 worksheets. I just delete this one. So I right click and delete it because there's nothing on there. But if you wanted to, you could just right click and insert a sheet and create a new one. But at this point, this spreadsheet is only 2 sheets. There's the daily worksheet and then this one. So when you're creating this bills worksheet, it is really not that complicated. Basically, all you're doing is you're just breaking up your expenses into various categories. So first thing I like to do is I just like to take this column and make it a little wider, and then just kind of start here with my basic living expenses, and then maybe go down here and separate ride share, delivery, if you do any of that kind of work. Down here, maybe debt or credit cards, anything like that. And then you could put, miscellaneous debt. How you lay this out is really up to you. There's only a couple cells in here that are going to make a difference, and I'll reference those in a little bit. So, as an example, these are my main category headers. So I'll just select each one. I'll hold down Control and click on each one of these. Then I'll go up here and fill the cell, give it a color, and I'll just change the font color. And so, in this, for the first living expense, I'll just call child support, rent or office space, cell phone, health insurance, food, groceries, miscellaneous, whatever, however you want to do it. And then you would just go under each column header here, and let's say you did ride share, so you would need separate gas for ride share, food that you eat on a daily basis, car washes, things like that. Now, next column down, you're going to do maybe your auto loan. If you have multiple credit cards, maybe, a Capital One and a Wells Fargo account. This is really based on your specific needs. So there is no right or wrong way to do it. And, this could be multiple debt that you owe friends and what have you. Now, once you have all of those categories, you just want to put a dollar value inside of each one. So, for example, say you have $300 child support, say your rent is $400, cell phone is $150, and so on. And just give each item here its own dollar value. And once you've gone all the way down that list and given each item a specific monthly debt, that's the key, is to give each item a number. Now, at this point, you'll have all of your individual categories here, but you have to total them up. Now, at the end, I just go down here, leave a space, type total, and of course, because I like everything to be fancy, for the dollar value here, I'm going to fill this in yellow with font color black. And then what I want to do is I want to total all of these and give me a number right here. This is super easy. So your first cell here is B2. Your last one is B34. So you would type equals sum, parentheses B2, colon B34, enter. So this number here now represents all of your expenses for the month. You can see here currently $22.85 is your total expenses, but say you have another expense that you have to add that adds $200 a month. Well, when you put in 200, now you see the number for your total changes to $24.85. It takes all of these and adds them up. And subsequently, say you stopped doing rideshare. Well, now you don't have separate gas, so you would take that and subtract it, and it puts it back to the correct number. So this right here is a very easy way to just keep up simply with your monthly expenses. But what we need to do is we need to take it a step further. So we referenced the daily income average and how much you might need to make on a 5 or 7 day basis. Here's how I calculate it, and it's not 100% accurate, and it may be different for you, but on average in a 30-day period, most people if they work a 5-day work week, because of the 5 weeks in some months, Most people on average work 22 days a month. So as a ballpark estimate, I want to take this total number and just divide it by 22. To me, that's just a rough estimate, but it's close enough for me to keep up with my expenses. So what I want to do is I want to take this cell, which is B36, and I just want to divide it by 22. So over here, I would type equals B36, B36 slash or divide by 22. Now it shows me roughly $103.86 a day. Now you can take it a step further and click on this column and drag it over to this column. We can format those cells to show currency, negative numbers red, and a thousands separator, and this will also put a dollar sign here. So when you click OK, now you can see it's a little prettier. So at the end of the day, this number right here is the average daily number you need based on a 5-day work week. If you have another $400 additional expense, you can see this number went from 103 to 122. That's what you need to make 5 days a week to hit your number of $26.85 for the month. Now, the way that I calculate this, and you could do this a little differently if you wanted to do it daily, I'd just do a weekly average. I want to see high or low what I've made above or beyond what I need for the week. So what I do is I take this number, which is my daily number, and I multiply it times 5. I'm going to take equals C36 times 5. Now, according to this, I need to make $610.23 every week. And again, the more expenses you add, it automatically changes your total monthly need, your daily need, and your weekly need. This number right here, the weekly, is the one that's most important. And to add any other items, you just simply would click on any section here and right click and insert row, and it gives you a little more room for the extra item, but it doesn't change these numbers here. So I added a few more line items, and at the end of the spreadsheet, after everything is calculated, cell D42 is the one that I'm going to be importing into my daily worksheet. D42, pay attention to that. It could be different for you, but you just need to know that whatever your weekly number is here, whatever cell it is, that's the number that you need to be referencing. Make a point to remember what that cell number is. Now, the last thing we need to do is we need to rename this sheet to bills. So you just want to right click on this worksheet, click rename, type in bills, and then hit enter. So you should have your daily worksheet and a bills worksheet. So we have our daily income and we have our bills. So now we have the expenses listed. How do we tie that into our daily spreadsheet at a glance so that we can see if we are on track to go above or beyond the number for the week? Super easy. You have to reference the second worksheet without even looking at it. So remember, this cell right here is D42. So I'm going to go back to this spreadsheet. In this cell right here, I want to know, am I ahead or behind for the week? So in other words, this number right here, my weekly total, which is being calculated as I go, minus this weekly requirement. So here's the formula. So in this cell, you want to type in equals J11, or whatever cell this number is right here. You can see it's J11. We want to do equals J11 minus a dollar sign and then the name of the other worksheet, which is down here, bills, period, D42. Now, if you remember, D42 was the weekly total. Here's my monthly, here's how much daily, and based on 5 weeks a month, I need to make this much every week. So this cell is saying how much am I above or below my number. In this case, I only needed to make $709. I made $1,100, therefore I'm $390 and a nickel ahead. Let's just say, for example, what happens if it's under that number. So in this case, we've made $0 this week. So I'm going to do equals J20, which is the amount of money I made this week, minus $, which references the other worksheet, bills, period, D42. Now you can see 709.95 is what I needed to make. And sure enough, it shows me that I'm $709.95 short for that week. If I made $600 here, I should only be $109 short. See how that works? Whatever numbers you put in here, it's automatically going to calculate everything here, here, and also how far you have to go to get to your number for the week. So at a glance, you can see what you need. Because my bills are referenced automatically, I don't have to switch back and forth. I just type numbers in, and it automatically calculates not only my daily averages, but also my weekly totals for each column, my year-to-date totals up here, my ahead or behind on my bills. This one simple spreadsheet does all of that. This is what I use on a daily basis, and the only thing I have to do is on a daily basis put in the numbers for my particular income category, and then once a year change these, because the 2nd of January 2024 won't be Monday, so I'll have to make those changes. But this part of the spreadsheet doesn't change ever. So I hope that didn't melt your brain too much. It's a very simple thing to do, but you just have to take it one little bit at a time. So what was your favorite part? Did you find it useful? Do you have any other tips that you think might help other people? Let me know down in the comments below. In the meantime, I appreciate you watching. So if you need a little bit of refresher course on Excel before you tackle this spreadsheet, make sure you go and watch that video right here and then come back and watch this one again. Thanks so much for watching.